Hare Krishna, everybody who is here. Hopefully,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
welcome.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hopefully, others will join a little later, but we can proceed. So, I just would like to summarize what we did last class. So, last class, we started a new chapter, chapter 18. Just let me open. So, we finished the story of Chitraketu, which was the story of Vritasura and was the central story of the whole sixth canto, and it's also the Lakshana of Srimad Bhagavatam story of Vritasura, because it's showing the superiority of pure devotional service comparing to the mixed devotional service. So now here we are back to genealogy and descendants of Diti and Aditi. So at the beginning of this 18th chapter, we heard about different descendants of Aditi. I have a chart for that. I'll just show it a little later, but everything started with the Parikshit Maharaj's question about Maruts and how they were awarded the position of the Devatas, although they were born from Diti. And then it's explained by Shukadev Goswami how Diti's sons, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyakashipu, were killed by Lord Vishnu to help Indra, and Diti, being very angry, desired a son who will kill Indra, who will revenge for the death of her sons. And she was smart, and she served Kashyapa very faithfully, very humbly, and in this way she captivated him. And Kashyapa was a little naive at the beginning. He glorified her devoted wife and promised her to fulfill all her desires. And then, when it was her turn to ask for blessing, she requested a son who could kill Indra. And Kashyapa heard that. Of course, he lamented and he reflected, oh, I've been captivated by my wife and I'm to be condemned now because I'm going to, commit a sinful activity. And then he also ruminates on the nature of materialistic women, who can understand them, no one is dear to them. But I have a suitable solution for her desire, and we are going to hear about that, his solution, how to give her what she wants, but at the same time purify her of the sinful desire. So let me quickly share the screen, and then I can show you this chart of descendants of Kashyapa and Aditi. 1 second. Screen share. Okay. So here, actually, with these descendants, there is a link from the chapter 6, because in the chapter 6 of the sixth canto, we heard about descendants of some of the Adityas, and now we hear about descendants of rest of Adityas. So Kashyapa and Aditi, from them come 12 Adityas, 12 sons, starting with Vivasva, Naryama, Pushya, Tvashta, Savita, Bhaga, Dhata, Vidata, Varuna, Mitra, Shatru, and Urukram, or Lord Vamanadev, who was one of the 12 Adityas. And then here we have their descendants. I will not read, you can just look, Savita and Prishni, and so on and so forth, Varuna and Charshami, Mitra and Revatri, and Indra and Polomi, And yeah, I like that. And interesting thing here, we have Valmiki Muni, who also, although he took a birth from anthill, he belongs to this line of Varuna and Charshni. Do you recognize any other names here? Indra Pulon.
Prabhu,
Yes.
this Indra is Lord Indra?
Yeah, the king of heaven, Indra, yeah.
Oh.
King of heaven, the Indra, there is only one Indra. I mean, Indra is a post and a different, different kalpas, different persons take that post. But Indra that we know, it's the same Indra that stormed Vrindavan, and because of whom Krishna had to leave the Govardhan Hill and other things. The same, very same Indra. And then, we have a Kashyapa and Diti. So that there is another, it's a sister of Aditi, but her mentality was different. And that's why, although the husband was the same, the result were the demons were born. So we had two demoniac sons, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. And then we have these 49 Maruts who were somehow promoted to the position of Devatas because during their pregnancy, Diti performed devotional service, Musava Navrata, and that's why they were purified while in the womb. And then we have descendants from Hiranyakashipu here. We know that his wife was Kayadu, and she was daughter of Jamba, who was descendant of Dhanu, who is the father of all the Danavas. We have Daityas and Danavas, these demoniac races. And then Hiranyakashipu and Kayadu, they had 4 sons. Of course, we all know for Prahlad, but also there are 3 other sons, his brothers, who were not that saintly as Prahlad. So Samhad, Anulhad, and Ulhad. And Prahlad was the 4th one. So from these other 3 sons, we have, the demons born, Panchajana, and then this Vatapi and Ilvala, we heard, or we'll hear about them yet, and then 2 others. But then from Prahlad, we have, his son was Virochan, and then his grandson was Bali Maharaj, who was another Mahajan, another great devotee. And his son, who was devotee of Lord Shiva, somehow not devotee of Lord Krishna, although he was the son of a Magajan, was famous Banasura. So, okay, so we'll go now back to the Bhagavatam. We stopped at the 43. Just 1 second, I have to somehow move this. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Jnanatimiramisya. Hiranjana Shlaka Chakshu Unvitamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So 43. Pratishutam Dadhamiti Vachasthan Nam Rishabhavet Vadam Nahati Chandropi Tatridam Upakalpate. I promised to give her a benediction. So this Kashyapa Muni is speaking. I promised to give her a benediction, and this promise cannot be violated. But the Indra does not deserve to be killed. In these circumstances, the solution I have is quite suitable. See, in the earlier times, in the old times, Vedic times, when you give a promise, you cannot go back on that promise. If you remember, Maharaj Dasharat also gave a promise to Kaikeyi, and he forgot about that promise. But when he was reminded by her, he just could not go back and say, "Oh no, my promise is not applicable now." Here, Kashyapa also could say, "No, because you want something sinful, I retract my promise." No, promise once given, it's a sacred. you have to fulfill it. Otherwise, your dharma is finished. So this is one of the basic pillars of Vedic culture, that the promise is followed. Which of course nowadays in Kali Yuga, when the satya, truthfulness is missing, people promise so many things. Politicians before the elections, they promise so many things, but hardly fulfill any of these promises. They just promise to gain some benefit, to get elected, and so on. Okay, perfect, Srila Prabhupada. Kashyapa Muni concluded, Diti is eager to have a son who can kill Indra, since she is a woman, after all, and is not very intelligent. I should train her in such a way that instead of always thinking of how to kill Indra, she'll become a Vaishnava, a devotee of Krishna. If she agrees to follow the rules and regulations of the Vaishnava principles, the unclean core of her heart will certainly be cleansed. Chetudarpana marjanam. This is a process of devotional service. Anyone can be purified by following the principles of devotional service in Krishna consciousness. For Krishna consciousness is so powerful that it can purify even the dirtiest class of men and transform them into the topmost Vaishnavas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu movement aims at this purpose. Narottam Thakur says, Rajendra Nandana Yei Sachi Sutta Hoilo Se Balaram Hoilo Nitai Dinahina Jata Chilo Hari Name Udharilo Tara Saki Jagai Madhai. The appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this Kali Yuga is especially meant to deliver the fallen souls who are always planning something for material enjoyment. He gave the people of this age the advantage of being able to chant Hare Krishna mantra and thus become fully pure, free from all material contamination. Once one becomes a pure Vaishnava, he transcends all material conceptions of life. Thus Kashyapa Muni tried to transform his wife into Vaishnavi so that she might give up the idea of killing Indra. He wanted both her and her sons to be purified so that they would be fit to become pure Vaishnavas. Of course, sometimes a practitioner deviates from the Vaishnava principles. And there is a chance that he may fall down, but Kashyapa Muni taught that even if one falls by practicing the Vaishnava principles, he is still not a loser. Even a fallen Vaishnava is eligible for better results, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya thate mahato bayat. Even practicing the Vaishnava principles to a small extent can save one from the greatest danger of material existence. Thus, Kashyapa Muni planned to instruct his wife Diti to become a Vaishnava because he wanted to save the life of Indra. So Prabhupada is making a point here that however fallen we may be, if we take up to bhakti, to devotional service, we can be purified and become the topmost Vaishnavas. So our starting position doesn't really matter once one takes to the Krishna consciousness. But for those who are not, then of course there are material differences in qualifications and conditions. But once one takes up fully to Krishna consciousness, sincerely, he can be purified from all bad effects of birth and everything else. So let's see what Vishnu Thakur says here. Tatredam upakalpate means that this is suitable. The meaning is this: I will teach her Vaishnava austerity. So Vaishnava Vrata. When her heart becomes purified by that austerity, she will no longer have anger at Indra. So the austerity or tapasya, devotional tapasya, is purifying the heart. Thus she will not want to kill him. She will not kill Indra because the Vaishnava vow she undertakes will not bestow evil results, even if desired. However, then the words of request in her prayer will be nullified. Since Han can mean go as well as kill, she will have a son who will follow Indra instead of killing him, who will be a devata, not a demon. Because of the length of the vow, there will be certainly some irregularity in her performance, but by that vow, her mind will concentrate while she is unaware of it. Though there may be irregularity in a Vaishnava vow, the results will still be given. Her efforts will thus be successful. See, when you perform karma kanda vrata, karma kanda vow, small mistake you commit and you lose everything. You lose the results, just, small mispronunciation of a mantra, or you don't properly do some procedure in the yagya, everything is ruined. So that's why very expert brahmanas are needed for this type of yagyas, karma kanda vratas, to perform, that will not commit any mistakes. But if you perform a Vaishnava vrata, even if you commit a mistake, benefit will be still there, because Krishna will take that bhakti, that offering of love that you invested in that vrata, and will not be so much concerned with external performance and external details. So devotional service or Vaishnava vow, Vaishnava vrata is, you can never be a loser if you commit it. And another point made here is that even if your heart is full of material desires, you should still take up to bhakti, to devotional service, to Vaishnava vow, because gradually that performance of bhakti yoga will purify your heart, and you will lose your sinful desires. You'll become pure-hearted and you will desire something else. So that's why we have that famous verse, akama sarva kamuva, whether you don't desire anything or you desire everything, or moksha kama. Even if you desire liberation, you should still yajeta purusham param, you should worship the supreme person. So in all stages of life, one should worship Krishna. This is the solution for all life's problems. 44. Iti sanchitya bhagavan maricha kurunandana uvacha kinchit kupita atmanam cha vigarayan. Shuddha Goswami said, Kashyapa Muni, thinking this way, became somewhat angry, condemning himself. O Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Kuru, he spoke to Diti as follows. Yeah, he became somewhat kinchit kupita. He didn't blast in a krodha, but he was disappointed with her and a little angry. Shri Kashyapa vacha putrasti bhavitha bhadre Indra hadeve bandhava samvatsaram vratam idam yad yagyo darayishyasi. Kashyapa Muni said, my dear gentle wife, if you follow my instructions regarding this vow for at least 1 year, you will surely get a son who will be able to kill Indra. However, if you deviate from this vow of following the Vaishnava principles, you will get a son who will be favorable to Indra. See, although he was a little angry at her, he didn't blast her, didn't chastise her, didn't say, oh, this is very wrong what you desire. I mean, he said previously, condemning himself. But now he's, very tactfully talking to her and giving her solution to fulfill her desire. But he is giving some conditions also. Purport. The word Indraha refers to an asura who is always eager to kill Indra. An enemy of Indra is naturally a friend to the asuras, but the word Indraha also refers to one who follows Indra or who is obedient to him. When one becomes a devotee of Indra, he is certainly a friend to the demigods. Thus, the words Indra Hadhiva Bandhava are equivocal, for they say, your son will kill Indra, but he'll be very friendly to the demigods. If a person actually became a friend of the demigods, he certainly would not be able to kill Indra. Why? Because Indra is the leader of the demigods. He's one of the demigods. So if person is demigod friendly, certainly it will be friendly to Indra as well. So the Sanskrit is like this, double meanings. Same thing can mean completely the opposite. So that's why you need, somebody to interpret who knows the purport and the context. Otherwise, you might misunderstand just by dictionary meaning. The meaning desired by Diti was that she would get a son who would kill Indra and be friend of the demons. Kashyapa's meaning, however, was that she would get a son who would follow Indra and be a friend of the Devatas. So it was the same, the same words, but different meanings in different persons' minds. One meaning was in Kashyapa's mind and another meaning was in Diti's mind. Okay, now let's hear from Diti. Diti Ruvacha, Dara Ishye Vratam Brahman, Brohi Karyani Yani Me, Yani Che Hanishi Dhani, Navratam, Nanti Yanyutha. Diti replied, my dear Brahmana, I must accept your advice and follow the vow. Now let me understand what I have to do, what is forbidden, and what will not break the vow. Please clearly state all this to me. So the longer the vow is, the greater chance that you'll commit some mistake. So Kashyapa knew that if the vow lasts for many days, definitely at some point the mistake will be there. If the vow is very short, you might perform it perfectly. But if it lasts longer, the greater chances to commit a mistake. Purport. As stated above, a woman is generally inclined to serve her own purposes. Kshyapa Muni proposed to train Diti to fulfill her desires within 1 year. And since she was eager to kill Indra, she immediately agreed, saying, please let me know what the vow is and how I have to follow it. I promise that I shall do the needful and not break the vow. This is another side of a woman's psychology. Even though a woman is very fond of fulfilling her own plans, when someone instructs her, especially her husband, she innocently follows, and thus she can be trained for better purposes. By nature, a woman wants to be a follower of a man. Therefore, if the man is good, the woman can be trained for a good purpose. Yeah, in the modern days, this might be misunderstood by some women who might feel even offended by this. But it's just a natural psychology. But besides the psychology, the proper upbringing and culture has to be there. Otherwise, if woman is raised and trained in a society where this training is Tridharma is not given, definitely she will not be doing these things as in the past when the culture and tradition was present. But this is some psychological facts that women can be good followers. For men, it's more difficult to follow another man, but it's more natural for women to follow a man. But man has to be good, the teacher, the guru, they have to be, up to the task. They need to be able to deliver their dependence, but the instructions. Otherwise, that leading is useless also. Shikashya Bhavacha Nahim Syad Bhuta Jhatani Nashapen Nandritam Vadet Nachindhyan Nakarumani Nasprishet Yad Amangalam. Kshepa Muni said, my dear wife, to follow this vow, do not be violent or cause harm to anyone. Do not curse anyone and do not speak lies. Do not cut your nails and hair, and do not touch impure things like skulls and bones. This is a very, difficult task. For example, do not curse, do not speak lies. Yeah, that might be difficult nowadays for many. Do not cause harm to anyone means even to a mosquito or ant. And if you have to follow this for 1 year, it is difficult. Okay, for 1 day, it's easy, but for 1 year. Purport. Kshepa Muni's first instruction to his wife was not to be envious. The general tendency of anyone within this material world is to be envious. And therefore, to become a Krishna conscious person, one must curb this tendency. As stated in Bhagavatam, Paramo Nirmatsaranam. Krishna conscious person is always non-envious, whereas others are always envious. This Kashyapa Muni's instruction that his wife not be envious indicates that this is the first stage of advancement in Krishna consciousness. Kashyapa Muni desired to train his wife to be a Krishna conscious person, for this would suffice to protect both her and Indra. So this is the first stage and step in Krishna consciousness, to stop being envious to others. Matsarya is considered one of the enemies, together with the lust, anger, greed, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, illusion, Matsarya. So not being envious, meaning not causing harm to others, not wishing them bad, even mentally. You might not be doing anything, but if you wish bad things for others, that means I'm envious. If I wish something bad happens to others, I have some ill feelings towards the others. Some grudge. I keep some grudge towards somebody who offended me 10 years ago, or told me this or told me that. I feel grudge. I'm envious of that person. So devotees should be completely non-envious, no grudges, no ill feelings towards other persons. The first rule forbids her from desiring to kill Indra. First rule is do not be violent or cause harm to anyone. So that means includes Indra. She cannot, try to kill Indra and follow the vow. So for at least 1 year, she has to abstain from killing him or desiring to kill him. Napsu snayan na kubhyata na sambhasheta durjanay na vasidha dhautavasa srajam cha vidritang vachit. Kshepa Muni continued, my dear gentle wife, never enter the water while bathing. Never be angry and do not even speak or associate with wicked people. Never wear clothes that have not been properly washed, and do not put on a garland that has been already worn. So now the more and more strict rules: never enter the water while bathing. I guess you take shower in some way without entering the river or lake or pond. Never be angry. This is the very difficult one. Do not even speak with the wicked people. Sometimes you don't know who is wicked, who is not. So you have to have good judgment. And cleanliness standards, like a pujari cleanliness, always fresh clothes on you. And not even old garland you can have. You have to have fresh garland. And she needs a garland to perform that vrata. Okay. Notishtam chandikanam cha samisham vrishalahritam bunjitodakyaya drishtam pibe nanjalina tvapa. Never eat leftover food. Never eat prasad offered to the goddess Kali, Durga. And do not eat anything contaminated by flesh or fish. Do not eat anything brought or touched by Shudra, nor anything seen by women in her menstrual period. Do not drink water by joining your palms. In general, the goddess Kali is offered food containing meat and fish, and therefore Kashyapa Muni strictly forbade his wife to take the remnants of such food. Actually, Vaishnava is not allowed to take any food offered to the demigods. A Vaishnava is always fixed in accepting prasad offered to Lord Vishnu. Through all these instructions, Kashyapa Muni in a negative way instructed his wife Diti how to become a Vaishnavi. So he's giving some rules and regulations of Vaishnava Achar, Vaishnava etiquette and behavior. Basically vegetarian, not eat anything, plus do not eat prasad of others, only of Vishnu you can eat, something we offer to Vishnu. And even these rules of cleanliness, Shudras are generally considered unclean, so they might contaminate. Or even seen by a woman in her menstrual period. I guess this excludes herself because she is a woman also. There are five restrictions in eating. Chandikana means food offered to Durga. Goddess Chandi, that's Durga. If food is touched by ants, it's also Chandikanam and therefore forbidden. Chandika means an ant. According to the dictionary, Udakyaya means by a woman in her menstrual period. So even if the ants attack your food, you cannot just sweep them away. You have to avoid it, food. Nojishtas prishtas halila sandhyaya mukta murdaja anarchitas samyatava nasamvita bahishcharet. After eating, you should not go out to the street without having washed your mouth, hands, and feet. You should not go out in the evening or with your hair loose. Nor should you go out unless you are properly decorated with ornaments. You should not leave the house unless you are very grave and are sufficiently covered. Kashyapa Muni advised his wife not to go out into the street unless she was well decorated and well dressed. He did not encourage the miniskirts that have now become fashionable. In Oriental civilization, when woman goes out onto the street, she must be fully covered so that no man will recognize who she is. All these methods are to be accepted for purification. If one takes to Krishna consciousness, one is fully purified, and thus one remains always transcendental to the contamination of the material world. So Prabhupada here is mentioning the Oriental civilization. It includes not only Vedic civilization, but it includes also Middle East or Islam civilization, where woman goes on the street fully covered, even her face is covered, with the burqa. And in some strict Muslim countries, they can be punished if they go out not properly dressed. But then in the Western world, like in France, they passed the law that women cannot use burqa on a street, or cannot bathe in the ocean or in the sea fully dressed. It's a punishable because it's against the Western morality. But Eastern Oriental morality is different, and Vedic culture also belongs to that Eastern Oriental traditional civilization, where ladies are chaste and covered. For going out of the house, there are 7 forbidden items. Asprishta salila means without doing achaman. Anarchita means without ornaments. Samvita means without covering the whole body. So to do this punsavana, you need even to do achaman before going out. Just for a moment, please. Nadauta pada prayatha nardra pada dakshira shaitana prananyaya nanagna nacha sanjayo. You should not lie down without having washed both of your feet, or without being purified, nor with the wet feet, or with your head pointed west or north. You should not lie naked, or with other women, or during the sunrise or sunset. So there are 8 items forbidden for sleeping. Aprayatha means impure. Amara Course Dictionary says pavitra and prayatha are synonyms for pure. The head should not point west, na aparan. So not west or even north. These directions are considered inauspicious. That's why when we sleep, we turn generally towards the east or sometimes towards the south. Although I know some Vaishnavas who always turn their heads, even when they travel in a train, they turn towards Vrindavan. But that's, higher level. It's not considering material directions, but it's considering a direction of the most worshipable abode for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Sri Vrindavan Dham. Yes, so these are very strict rules. You have to wash your feet before going to bed, but you have to dry them, because if they're wet again, it's a break in the rule. So many things are there. Even during sunrise and sunset, it's considered unauspicious to sleep, because at that times Lord Shiva goes with the Bhutas, with his ghost associates, so you can be attacked at that time if you fall asleep. I remember 20 years ago, maybe once I fell asleep and it was around sunset time, twilight, Sandhya time. And then I felt I was attacked, and whatever entity was, the ghost probably, somehow paralyzed me. I could not move. I wanted to get up. I couldn't get up. I wanted to scream for help. I couldn't. My, vocal cords were paralyzed. So I was thinking what I'm going to do now. Then I said, oh, I'll cry in my mind for Nishimadev's name. So as soon as I in the mind start, calling Nishimadev, the ghost just went away. And immediately I could, move. But of course, it's best not to fall asleep at the wrong times and in wrong places, that might be, haunted. Dautavasa Shachir Nityam Sarva Mangala Samyutha Pujet Pratarashat Prag Go Vipranshriam Achyutam.
Krishna Prabhu, excuse me.
Yes, Matas.
What do you mean by saying don't fall asleep at the wrong time? Could you give some precision about this? What is the wrong? When you say
a wrong time is a Sandhya time, so sunrise and sunset. So before, 48 minutes before sunrise and 48 minutes after the sunrise. That's called Sandhya. 1.5 hour basically around the sunrise. Similarly to the sunset, 48 minutes before the sunset, 48 minutes after the sunset is the Sandhya, and this time not recommended for sleeping. Sunset and sunrise, 1.5 hour morning, 1.5 hour in the evening. Is that clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, thank you very much. Yes.
So, for example, now different places, the sunset and sunrise at different times. In Mayapur, sunrise is around 5, I think. So that means 45 minutes. So 4:15 latest, you should be up, and you should not sleep until 5:45 at least. Oh, probably
Okay.
longer. Probably longer.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
Okay, I heard not recently. I heard that suppose you wake up in the middle of the night. Let's say it's between midnight and 2 a.m.
Okay.
It seems that it's not favorable to chant. Is that true? Because I heard that, and I just want to know if it is a good saying. Because. Aren't we allowed to chant 24 hours? So if we chant 24 hours, no matter which time it is during the night, we are able to chant the japa.
Of course, whenever you get up, you can chant. There are no hard and fast rules for chanting. And actually,
it seems that this devotee is trying to say that there was some time in the middle of the night that's favorable for other entities that are not very positive. And so it's difficult to chant at that time. We are disturbing them. So I wanted to make.
This is complete speculation. There are no wrong times for chanting, and it's actually earlier you get up, more rounds you will chant. Before the morning. So earlier, the better. If you can get up and be awake and not fall asleep during chanting. So 2 o'clock is good time. 3 o'clock is good time. If not that, at least 4 o'clock.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
He was probably projecting some karma kanda rules for the holy name. That doesn't apply to the holy name. Even if the time is inauspicious, you make it auspicious by chanting.
Okay.
So don't hesitate to chant anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Krishna.
So let's continue the putting on wash clothing. Being always pure and being adorned with turmeric, sandal pulp, and other auspicious items before breakfast. One should worship the cows, the brahmanas, the goddess of fortune, and the supreme personality of Godhead. Purport. If one is trained to honor and worship the cows and brahmanas, he is actually civilized. The worship of the Supreme Lord is recommended, and the Lord is very fond of the cows and brahmanas. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanahitaya Cha. In other words, a civilization in which there is no respect for the cows and brahmanas is condemned. One cannot become spiritually advanced without acquiring the Brahminical qualifications and giving protection to cows. Cow protection ensures sufficient food prepared with milk, which is needed for an advanced civilization. One should not pollute civilization by eating the flesh of cows. A civilization must do something progressive, and then it is an Aryan civilization. Instead of killing the cows to eat flesh, civilized men must prepare various milk products that will enhance the condition of society. If one follows the Brahminical culture, he will become competent in Krishna consciousness. So, Brahminical culture means Krishi Go Raksha, protection of the cows is the central. And if cows are not protected, Ugra karma will hit that society very soon. As we see nowadays, the wars are everywhere, the climatic, the natural catastrophes. This is all because of killing cows, and of course killing babies in the womb, which are gravely sinful activities. But those who protect cows, who give them protection, they are protected by the demigods, and they are given all facilities for comfortable material life. So it's actually, even for those who want to enjoy this life, if they're smart and intelligent, they will protect the cows in order to get all the facilities and be promoted in the next life. Not protecting them, then destination in the next life is very dark. Now, the positive rules are described. Pratar Ashar means in the morning before eating. Striyo viravatish charchit sragandabali mandanai patim charyo patishteta dhyayet koshta gatam chatam. With flower garlands and pop ornaments and other paraphernalia, a woman following this vow should worship women who have sons and whose husbands are living. The pregnant wife should worship her husband and offer him prayers. She should meditate upon him, thinking that he is situated in her womb. The child in the womb is a part of the husband's body. Therefore, husband, though his representative, indirectly remains within the womb of his pregnant wife. Yes, sometimes it's mentioned that wife is like a mother, is like a container, but the actual owner is the husband because it's extension of his body. But of course, the child belongs to both mother and the father. So she's supposed to worship ladies who have sons and still alive husbands, so not widows. Samvatsaram punsavanam ratam etadave plutam darishyasi chetubhyam shakraha bhavita suktaha. Kshepa Muni continued, if you perform the ceremony called Punsavana, adhering to the vow with the faith for at least 1 year, you will give birth to a son destined to kill Indra. But if there is any discrepancy in the discharge of this vow, the son will be a friend to Indra. So he gave her rules and told her, now, either you follow strictly these rules and you will get what you desire, or if you make a mistake, the result will be that some will be friendly to Indra. Bhadamit abhyupetyatha ditirajan mahamana kashyapad garbham adhatha vratam chanjo dadharasa. Okay, Parikshit, Diti, the wife of Kashyapa, agreed to undergo the purificatory process known as Pumsavana. Yes, she said, I shall do everything according to your instructions. With great jubilation, she became pregnant, having taken semen from Kashyapa, and faithfully began discharging the vow. (56) Matrisvasur Aviprayam Indra Abhyayam Manada Shushrushanena Shrama Stam Ditim Paryacharat Kave. O king, who are respectful to everyone, Indra understood Diti's purpose, and thus he contrived to fulfill his own interests. Following the logic that self-preservation is the first law of nature, he wanted to break Diti's promise. Thus he engaged himself in the service of Diti, his aunt, and who was residing in an ashram. So this is the logic of materialistic people. Self-preservation is the first law. I have, it's a fight for survival, like in animal kingdom. Everybody is trying to survive on the expense of others, to devour the others. My body is the most important. So Indra behaved also in the same materialistic fashion, contrary to Chitraketu, who was cursed, but still he didn't care. He didn't want to protect himself, didn't want to counter curse. (57) Nityam vanat sumanasa Falamula samit kushan Patrang kuramrido pascha Kale kala upahara. Indra served his aunt daily by bringing flowers, fruits, roots, and wood for yagyas from the forest. He also brought kusha grass, leaves, sprouts, earth, and water exactly at the proper time. See, she's doing the vrata to kill him, and he is serving her. Don't you think that she was suspicious? Why is he serving me? I'm doing this, to get a son who will kill him, and my nephew is, helping me in this. So he acted as a manual servant of his aunt. Evan tasya vratasthaya vrata chidram harir nripa prepsu parya charaj jimo mriga heva mriga krite. Okay, Parishit, as the hunter of a deer becomes like a deer by covering his body with deer skin and serving the deer, so Indra, although at the heart the enemy of the sons of Diti, became outwardly friendly and served Diti in a faithful way. Indra's purpose was to treat Diti as soon as he could find some fault in the way she discharged the vows of the ritualistic ceremony. However, he wanted to be undetected, and therefore he served her very carefully. In the desire to find some fault in her vow, this, however, was his misconception. Since whatever faults exist are nullified by remembering and glorifying Vishnu, her vow should also become faultless, even if there was a fault. It is said, Yachas Mritya Chanamoktya Tapo Yagya Kriyadishu Nunan Sampurnatham Eti Sadyo Vanditam Achyutam. Offer my basis unto the infallible Lord, because simply by either remembering him or chanting his name, all penances, sacrifices, and fruitive activities become perfect. This is from Skanda Purana. Mantratas tantratash chidram desha kalaraha vastuta sarvan karoti nischidram anusankirtanam tava. There may be discrepancies in pronouncing the mantras and observing the regulatory principles because of discrepancies in regard to time, place, person, and paraphernalia. But when your name is chanted, everything becomes faultless. So Krishna is a bhavagrahi Janardana. So he takes the essence of our devotional feelings, sentiments, of our love, even if the service is externally not performed perfectly. So even if we mispronounce his name, even then, we can still get the benefit, even if the name is not pronounced properly. I think in the past, some Chinese devotees, they had difficulty pronouncing Rama. They were pronouncing more like a Lama. Bengalis, of course, they pronounce Rama as Ramu, always going on the Ramu. But for Krishna, it's all acceptable if it's done with the love and intention to please him. Prabhupada's early disciples, when Prabhupada was teaching the Gayatri mantras, at one point, some people were just hopeless, couldn't pronounce it properly, and then he just laughed. You just chant whatever way you want. Krishna will take your sincerity. He will see your sincerity, even if you don't pronounce it properly. But of course, if we can, we should pronounce it properly and try to learn proper pronunciation. But the pronunciation is not the essence. It will be said later that Indra would not find any fault in her performance of vows. Mahapurusha Puja Siddhi Kapyanusangini. Liberation is a second result of worship of the Lord. Jigma means deception. The hunter disguises himself as a deer to cheat the deer. Similarly, Indra disguised himself as a devoted servant to cheat Diti. This is a hunting technique to, cover yourself with a deer skin. Some other animals are, caught in a similar way, not only deers. Nadya gachad vrata chidram tad parotham mahipate chintam tivram gata shakra kena me syach chivantveha. Oh Master, how the entire world, when Indra could find no faults, he thought, how will there be good fortune for me? Thus he was full of deep anxiety. So he was trying to find mistakes, but till that point, Diti was doing everything perfectly. So he was very much stressed, thinking, if she completes this vow perfectly, I'm doomed because the sun will kill me. So let me see till which shloka we do today. Of 19, chapter 6, okay, to 5 of the 19th chapter. So there we go. Ekada satu sandhyayam utishta vrata karshita asprishta var yadau tangrim Sushvapa Vedi Mohita, having grown weak and thin because of strictly following the principles of the vow, Diti once unfortunately neglected to wash her mouth, hands and feet after eating and went to sleep during the evening twilight. So she did not perform achaman or wash her feet. It was a double mistake. She went to sleep during Sandhya in an unclean state. And that's because she was, exhausted from following the vow. Labdva tad antaram shakro vidra pahrita chetasa dite pravishta udaram yogesho yoga maya. Finding this fault, Indra, who has all the mystic powers, the yoga siddhis such as anima and lagima, entered Aditi's womb while she was unconscious, being fast asleep. So till this point, Indra could not harm her or her embryo. It was protected by the performance of the vow. But because now she made a mistake, he could do this. A perfectly successful yogi is expert in 8 kinds of perfection. By one of them, called anima siddhi, he can become smaller than an atom, and in that state he can enter anywhere. With this yogi power, Indra entered the womb of Diti while she was pregnant. He entered the power by the power of yoga, which allowed him to enter another's body. So Indra is a master of yoga. He has the siddhis, and I guess other demigods also have them. On earth, you need, to work very, very hard and perform yoga for decades. And it's a questionable whether you attain one siddhi, especially in the present age. But, demigods, they naturally have the siddhis, some or all of them, depending what kind of demigod they are. Gandharvas can, fly from one loka to another without any problem. Jagarta saptada garbam var vajrena khanaka pravam rudatam saptadaikam marodir itithan punaha. After entering Diti's womb, Indra, with the help of his thunderbolt, cut into 7 pieces her embryo, which appeared like glowing gold. In 7 places, 7 different living beings began crying. Indra told them, "Do not cry." And then he cut each of them into 7 pieces again. Sri Vishnu Thakur remarks that Indra, by his yogic power, first expanded the body of the one Marut into 7. And then when he cut each of the 7 parts of the original body into pieces, there were 49. When each body was cut into 7, other living entities entered the new bodies. And thus they were like plants, which become separate entities when cut into various parts and planted on a hill. The first body was one, and when it was cut into many pieces, many other living entities entered the new bodies. So this is the technology of living entities entering the bodies. So,
Prabhu,
yes.
is that there are many living entities in the womb of the deity?
Yes, I mean, originally when the embryo was one baby only, it was only one living entity. But when Indra cut it into 49 parts, then the 49 jivas entered into these small pieces of embryos. It's the same how it happens.
Yeah, I mean that how this just now before that there was only one jiva, but now 48 jiva. Yeah.
49
So
total.
I mean,
Yeah. Because
before that one, so 49. Just 48 jiva active. Yeah.
yeah, because
How does the 48 jiva enter into the womb of a deity?
by arrangement of material energy of the Lord. You know, previously there was no place in her womb for all these 48 extra jivas, but once the embryo was cut in so many pieces, 49 bodies in total was created. So now there was a place of 49, and immediately material energy arranges that these conditioned jivas enter and take possession of these bodies, because the bodies were already there. So it's by arrangement of Maya, external energy of the Lord. She arranges living entities to enter the bodies in the womb. So I guess at the time of conception, I don't know exactly what time the jiva enters, but at the time that when the embryo is conceived, the jiva comes and enters there, and it's explained that the living entities, they come to the rain and then enter into the grains who grow, and then when the man and woman, they eat these grains, somehow they're transferred to the grains, to the embryo. It's a very complicated science, and we cannot perceive the jiva, so it's difficult to to imagine how it happens. But material energy is so powerful that it can arrange anything. So Vishnu Jagannatha Thakur says, he said, do not cry to comfort them. Maybe he didn't want Diti to hear, that's why he wanted to silence them, just be silent. But then he cut them into 7 more parts each. So it means that he wanted to finish them off. Some say that a single jiva can expand his body into 49 forms for a short time, like a yogi, or like someone else enjoying a lot of both piety and sin. Others say that knowing the future event, 49 jivas enter into one body and then enter each of the 49 parts when cut by Indra. So these are different opinions. Others say that 48 more jivas entered each of the other parts the moment that Indra cut up the one fetus, just as separate jivas entered each branch when a person cuts branches of a creeper or bush and plants them in the ground. So these are different opinions how it happens, but by arrangement of material nature in any case. Tamuchu patyamanaste sade pranjalayo nripa kim na indira jigam sasi bratharo maruthastava. Translation of king, being very much aggrieved, they pleaded to Indra with the folded hands, saying, Dear Indra, we are the Maruts, your brothers. Why are you trying to kill us? So this means that even small, embryos in the womb, they're conscious, and they can, perceive the threat, the danger, and they can, pray like here. I don't know if their hands were already formed or it's a symbolically folded hands. Pranjalaya, Anjali, with folded hands. So they were praying to Indra. So they were conscious entities in a womb. And the modern science is, you can kill the embryo till, and I don't know which month, because it's not alive. It's not conscious. These are all, misdeeds of the modern civilization. As soon as the embryo is there, jiva is there, and it's described also in the scriptures how some of the pious jivas, they remember in the womb their previous lives and their previous mistakes. And if they're pious, they pray to God to be delivered from that situation and promise that they will worship him once they're born. But then when they're born, the forgetfulness again comes, it's a shock, once you are out of the womb. You feel so much, you feel a relief also, but also so much discomfort is there, and you cannot explain what is troubling you. You can just cry. But then if you have nice parents and relatives, they smile at you, they, they keep you in their arms. And in this way, the baby forgets what it promised in the womb. But sometimes the young children, up to the age of 3 or 4, maximum 5, they still remember some things from their previous lives. That's why the Dr. Jan Stevenson, he wrote a book with detailed accounts of hundreds of children, small children, remembering their previous lifetimes. But once you start growing up, somehow you get amnesia, you forget everything. And generally, if you look now, do you remember anything from the time when you were a baby or 2 years old or 3 years old? I can maybe remember when I was 5 or 6, but not much before that, not much, hardly anything. Somehow that period is erased from the memory, or it's archived deeply in the chitta, in the subconsciousness, that we cannot retrieve it. Yeah, and then if there's some traumas from early childhood, they can cause, some, later later problems. I remember once I had some allergy and I was, really wondering why I have this, what caused this. And then somehow I saw a picture of me as a baby and my mother holding me as a small baby. And then there was a dog running at us. And I was so scared as a baby. And I started crying like anything. Somehow my mother chased away the dog. But for me, it looks like it was very traumatic. And then from that trauma, somehow I developed that energy. That was my realization. I don't know how much correct it is, but somehow I saw a scene of me being a baby. Otherwise, I don't remember myself being a baby. And hardly anybody remembers. Okay, 64. Ma baishta brattaro mayam yuyam ityaha kaushika ananya bhavan parshadhan atmano marutanganam. When Indra saw that actually they were his devoted followers, he said to them, if ye are all my brothers, you have nothing more to fear from me. Mayam here stands for Mama. Kushika is Indra. So Mama, uncle, Kushika is Indra. Shruti says Saptagana Vai Maruta. There are 7 groups of Maruts. Na Mamara Ditter Garba Srinivasanu Kampaya Bahuda Kulishok Shuno Draunyastrena Yatha Bhavan. Sri Goswami said, my dear King Parishit, you were burned by the master of Ashwatthama. When Lord Krishna entered the womb of your mother, you were saved. Similarly, although the one embryo was cut into 49 pieces by the thunderbolt of Indra, they were all saved by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now Shukadeva Goswami reminds Maharaj Parishit at his own experience in the womb. Basically, he was practically killed, burned by Brahmastra, which is a very powerful weapon. But then he saw the Lord Krishna entering, and he was a height of a thumb, and with his Sudarshan chakra, he was protecting Maharaj Parishit from Brahmastra. So that remembrance of the Lord somehow stayed deeply engraved in Parikshit's mind. And he remembered that from the womb, even when he was born and when he grew up, somehow that samskara image stayed deeply in his consciousness. So that's why everywhere he was looking for that person. That's why his name is Parikshit, one who inquires. Everywhere he was looking, where is that person whom I have seen in my womb? Where is the Lord Krishna? Sakrit Ishtvadi Purusham Purushoyati Samyatham Samvatsaram Kinchid Unnam Dityayat Darir Archita Sajur Indrena Panchashat Devastu Maruto Bhavan Vyapohya Matridosham Te Harina Soma Pakritaha. If one worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original person, even once he receives the benefit of being promoted to the spiritual world and possessing the same bodily features as Vishnu. Did he worship the Lord Vishnu for almost 1 year, adhering to a great vow? Because of such strength in spiritual life, the 49 Maruts were born. How then is it wonderful that the Maruts, although born from the womb of Diti, became equal to the demigods by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So by the power of Diti's devotional service, they became demigods and devotees of the Lord. So this indicates that what mother is doing during pregnancy, it will affect unborn child, and it might, shape his future and his consciousness. One thing is if the mother is, listening Bhagavatam, or another different thing is if mother is doing stupid things, smoking, and God knows what. It will affect child differently. We have example of Prahlad Maharaj's mother who was, being instructed by Narada Muni, and little Prahlad, he was listening in the womb, and due to this sadhu sangha with Narada Muni, he became great Prahlad Maharaj. Ditirutthaya dadrishe umaran anala prabhan indrena sahitan devi haryat tushyat anindita. Because of worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Diti was completely purified. When she got up from bed, she saw her 49 sons along with Indra. These 49 sons were all as brilliant as fire and were in friendship with Indra, and therefore she was very pleased. So this is a demigod bird that she was not even aware she was sleeping, and during her sleep the sons were born. So in the heavenly planets, the birth is not that traumatic like on Earth, where you have to suffer during the birth for a long time. They're just, born. They just come out of the womb, and already, they're ready to go on with their life. It's not that you need to suckle them. Atendram ahatattaham adityanam bhayavaham apatyam ichantyacharam vratametat sudushkaram. Therefore, Diti said to Indra, my dear son, I dare to this difficult vow just to get the sun to kill you, fellow Adityas. So not only him, she wanted to kill other Adityas. But she's being honest now. She's admitting her motivation. Eka sankalpita putra sapta sapta bhavankatam yadite viditam putra satyam kathaya mamsha. I pray for only one son, but now I see that there are 49. How has this happened? My dear son Indra, if you know, please tell me the truth. Do not try to speak lies. So she's being honest, so she wants Indra also to be honest, because she's perplexed. Generally, you give birth to one. If they're twins, that's, rare. Sometimes you hear in the news somebody gave birth to triplets, 3, or even 4. But 49 is unheard of. Indra vacha ambateham vyavasitam upadaryaagatontikam labdhantaro chidam garbam artabudir na dharmadrik. Indra replied, my dear mother, because I was grossly blinded by selfish interest, I lost sight of religion. When I understood that you were observing great vow in spiritual life, I wanted to find some fault in you. When I found such a fault, I entered your womb and cut the embryo to pieces. So now Indra is also being honest. He's not a demon. He might have some, selfish desires and anarthas, but after some time he realizes, oh, I did a mistake, because he's still dharmic person. Otherwise, he wouldn't be king of heaven. Purport. When Diti, Indra's aunt, explained to Indra without reservations what she had wanted to do, Indra explained his intentions to her. Thus, both of them, instead of being enemies, freely spoke the truth. This is the qualification that results from contact with Vishnu. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvari guna is tatra samasate suraha. If one develops a devotional attitude, becomes purified by worshiping the Supreme Lord, all the good qualities are certainly manifested in his body. Because of being touched by worship of Vishnu, both Diti and Indra were purified. So Indra also became purified, not only Diti, because he was serving her and he was around while she was performing devotional service. So if you serve somebody who is performing pure devotional service, you also getting benefit of it. That's why Vaishnava Seva, serving of the Vaishnavas, is recommended as one of the main limbs of bhakti. Namaruchi, Vaishnava Seva, and Jiva Doya. 3 principles given by Rupa Goswami. Serving the Vaishnavas, taste for the chant of the holy name, and compassion to the Jivas. When Diti spoke truthfully, Indra also spoke truthfully. Labdhantara means finding a fault. 72 Kritome Saptabda Garba Asan Sapta Kumaraka Tepi Chai Kai Kashobrikna saptadha napi mamrire. First, I cut the child in the womb into 7 pieces, which became 7 children. Then I cut each of the children into 7 pieces again. By the grace of the Supreme Lord, however, none of them died. Tatastat paramashcharyam vikshya vivasitam maya mahaburusha pujaya siddhikap yanusangini. We have also that example of Gandhari and her embryo that was divided by, who was it, Vyasadeva, who divided it into 100 parts, and each part was put in a separate pot, and somehow they grew up into Duryodhana, Shasana, and other Kauravas. So these technologies were existing much before the modern medicine invented incubators. My dear mother, when I saw that all 49 sons were alive, I was certainly struck with wonder. I decided that this was a secondary result of your having regularly executed devotional service in worship of Lord Vishnu. For one who engages in worshiping Lord Vishnu, nothing is very wonderful. This is a fact. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Yatra Yogeshwaro Krishna, Yatra Pardo Denudara, Tatra Shir Vijjayo Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is a Krishna, the master of all mystics, and whenever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Yogeshwara is the supreme personality of Godhead, the master of all mystic yoga, who can do anything and everything he likes. This is the omnipotence of the Supreme Lord. For one who pleases the Supreme Lord, no achievement is wonderful. Everything is possible for him. So the Lord is omnipotent, and if you please him, you can do also wonderful things by his mercy. Aradhanam Bhagavata Ihamana Nirashasha Yetu Nechantyapi Param Tesvarta Kushalas Mritaha. Although those who are interested only in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead do not desire anything material from the Lord and do not even want liberation, Lord Krishna fulfills all their desires. When Dhruva Maharaj saw Lord Vishnu, he declined to take any benedictions from him, for he was fully satisfied by seeing the Lord. Nonetheless, the Lord is so kind that because Dhruva Maharaj in the beginning had desired a kingdom greater than his father's, he was promoted to Dhruva Loka, the best planet in the universe. Therefore, in the Shastra it is said, Akama sarvakamu va mokshakamu dharadit tivrena bhakti yogina yajita purusham param. A person who has a broader intelligence, whether he is full of material desires, free from material desires, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the Personality of Godhead. One should engage in full devotional service. Then, even though he has no desires, whatever desires he previously had can be all fulfilled simply by his worship of the Lord. And the actual devotee does not desire even liberation. The Lord, however, fulfills the desire of the devotee by awarding him opulence that will never be destroyed. The karmic opulence is destroyed, but the opulence of a devotee is never destroyed. A devotee becomes more and more opulent as he increases his devotional service to the Lord. I'll skip this. 75. Aradhyatma pradam devam svatmanam jagadishwaram Kovarinta gunas parsham bodhisyam narakepya. The ultimate goal of all ambitions is to become a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If an intelligent man serves the most dear Lord, who gives himself to his devotees, how can he desire material happiness, which is available even in hell? An intelligent man will never aspire to become a devotee to achieve material happiness. This is the test of a devotee. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches, Na dhanam na janam na sundarim Pavitam Jagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatat Bhaktirahai Tukitwai. Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire a beautiful woman, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. A pure devotee never begs the Lord for material happiness in the shape of riches, followers, a good wife, or even mukti. The Lord promises, however, yoga kshema vahamyaham. I voluntarily bring everything necessary for my service. So, although devotees do not desire anything and will not ask for anything, because they are fully surrendered, Krishna takes care of them and maintains them, and whatever they need, he provides. So this should be also our conviction that Krishna, if I serve Krishna without ulterior motives, the Lord will take care of all my needs. Tadidamama daurjanyam baleshasya mahiyasi kshantu mahasi matastvam dishtyagarvo britotitha. O my mother, best of all women, I am a fool. Kindly excuse me for whatever offenses I have committed. Your 49 sons have been born unhurt because of your devotional service. As an enemy, I cut them to pieces, but because of your great devotional service, they did not die. So he's saying, I'm Balisha, Balishasya. I'm a, inexperienced small bacha. So devotional service can protect even a, unborn child from greatest harm. Definitely, if we perform devotional service, we'll be protected by the Lord. Even if sometimes something happens to our body, the soul will be protected. Shishuka Vacha Indras Tayabhyanu Yatha Shuddha Bhavena Tushtaya Marudbi Sahatam Natva Jagamatri Divam Prabhu. Shukadeva Goswami continued, Diti was extremely satisfied by Indra's good behavior. Then Indra offered his respect to his aunt with profuse obeisances, and with her permission, he went away to the heavenly planets with his brothers, the Maruts. Evan tesaram akyatam yanmam pam pariprichasi mangalam janma kim bhuya katayamite. My dear King Parikshit, I have replied as far as possible to the questions you have asked me, especially in regard to this pure, auspicious narration about the Maruts. Now you may inquire further, and I shall explain more. So this is how we end the 18th chapter. And for today, we need to finish 5 more shlokas. So let me see how big is the summary. Let's read the summary. This chapter explains how Diti Kashyapa Muni's wife executed Kashyapa Muni's instructions on devotional service during the first day of the bright fortnight of the moon in the month of Agrahayana, November, December. Every woman following the footsteps of Diti and following the instructions of her own husband should begin this Punsavana Vrata. In the morning, after washing her teeth, bathing, and thus becoming purified, she should hear about the birth mystery of the Maruts, then covering her body with a white dress and being properly ornamented before breakfast. She should worship Lord Vishnu and Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, Lord Vishnu's wife. Lord Vishnu's wife, by glorifying Lord Vishnu's for his mercy, patience, prowess, ability, greatness, and other glories, and for how he can bestow all mystic benedictions. While offering the Lord all paraphernalia of worship, such as ornaments, sacred threads, sand, nice flowers, incense, and water, for bathing and washing his feet, hands, and mouth, one should invite the Lord with this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Mahapurushaya Mahanubhavaya Mahavibhutipattaye Saha Mahavibhutivir Bhalim Upakarami. Then one should offer 12 oblations in the fire by chanting this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Mahapurushaya Mahavibhutipattaye Svaha. One should offer obeisances while chanting this mantra 10 times. Then one should chant the Lakshmi Narayan mantra. If either a pregnant woman or her husband regularly discharges this devotional service, both of them will receive the result. After continuing this process for 1 full year, the chaste wife should fast on the Purnima, the full moon day of Kartik. On the following day, the husband should worship the Lord as before, and then observe a festival by cooking nice food, and distributing prasad to the Brahmanas. Then, with the permission of the Brahmanas, the husband and wife should take prasad. This chapter ends by glorifying the results of the Pumsavana function. So it's a quite, elaborate and complicated vrata, but any vrata or yagya, it should be, ended by distribution of prasadam to devotees, brahmanas, and general public. This is the standard of the Vedic rituals, vratas, yagyas. At the end, prasadam distribution must be there. Not prasadam business, not selling prasadam, but feeding devotees and others prasadam with the desire, to serve them without any, motivation. And then by the blessings of the Vaishnavas, one's desires will be fulfilled and vrata will become successful. Shiraju Vacha Vratam Pumsavanam Brahman Bhavatayat Udiritam Tasya Veditum Ichami Yena Vishnu Prasidati. Maharaj Barishi said, My dear Lord, you have already spoken about the Pumsavana vow. Now I want to hear about it in detail, for I understand by observing this vow, one can please Supreme Lord Vishnu. So here Maharaj Barishi is now, because he heard the results of this vow, which was very great. The 49 Maharajs were protected by the power of the vow. So he wanted to hear what this vow actually is, what are the details, technicalities regarding the vow. Shishuka Vacha Shuklem Marga Shire Pakshe Yoshit Bharturanugya Arabetavratamidam Sarva Kamikam Aditha Ishamya Marutam Janma Brahmanan Anumantriacha Snatva Shukla Dati Shukle Vasitalang Kritambare Pujayet Pratarashatrag Bhagavantam Shriyasaha. Srila Goswami said, on the first day of the bright fortnight of the month of Agrahayana, November, December, following the instructions of her husband, a woman should begin this relative devotional service with a vow of penance, for it can fulfill all one's desires. Before beginning the worship of Lord Vishnu, the woman should hear the story of how the Marats were born under the instructions of qualified Brahmanas. In the morning, she should wash her teeth, bathe, and dress herself with white cloth and ornaments. And before taking breakfast, she should worship the Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi. So all these rules are given there, detailed rules for performing the vrata. And also in, for example, in Hari Bhakti Vilas, you find many of these different procedures and vratas. And cleanliness part is also very elaborately described there, how one should wash his teeth, how one should wash the other parts of the body, how should one bathe, how should one dress, in very, very detailed. Sanatana Goswami, with the help of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, collected all these technical details from various shastras and put it in a Hari Bhakti Vilas under the instruction of Lord Chaitanya for the future generations of Vaishnavas, that they can perform this sort of vratas. Ekadashi vrata is also described there in detail. There are 24 Ekadashis in the year. So each one of them is also explained in Ekadashi Mahatmya. Each one has a specific type of vrata. Alamte nirapekshaya purna kama namostute mahavibhuti pataye nama sakale sidaye. She should then pray to the Lord as follows: My dear Lord, you're full in opulences, but I do not beg you for opulence. I simply offer my respectful obeisance unto you. You're the husband and master of Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, who has all opulences. Therefore, you're the master of all mystic yoga. I simply offer my obeisance unto you. The devotee knows how to appreciate the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudhachate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnameva Vashishyate. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because He is completely perfect, all emanations from Him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself, because He is the complete whole. Even though so many complete units emanate from Him, He remains the complete balance. Therefore, to take shelter of the Supreme Lord is required. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. Therefore, a pure devotee will not ask anything from the Lord. He simply offers the Lord his respectful obeisances, and the Lord is prepared to accept whatever devotee can secure to worship Him. Even patram pushpam phalam toyam, leaf, flower, fruit, of water, there is no need to artificially exert oneself. It is better to be plain and simple, and with respectful obeisances, offer to the Lord whatever one can secure. The Lord is completely able to bless the devotee with all opulences. So no need to artificially exert oneself. Meaning that if you want to perform some elaborate vrata, yagya, and you don't really have a means for it, the Lord really does not need it, doesn't require that from you. He requires, actually, he wants our love, which can be expressed through all these external actions and rituals, and they should be in accordance to your capacity. Of course, if somebody is a rich king or something, he should not offer only one leaf, flower, fruit, or water, but according to his means, according to his wealth, he should organize the worship. But if one is a poor man, still, there's no problem. He can also please the Lord with the simple things. Alam te nam astu means, may I offer plentiful respect to you. The devatas depend on their servants to accomplish their own powers, but you do not. This is expressed in this verse. Therefore, you are called independent, nirapekshaya, because you endow with all great powers by your very nature, so you are full in your desires. How will I please you by my offerings? You're the master of great wealth. How can I possibly please you by offering houses, gardens, elephants, servants, singing, dancing, drums, instruments and chanting of the Vedas? You are the giver of svarga, liberation, prema, sakala siddhaye. How can I please you by offering karma, jnana, yoga, or bhakti sadhana? So Vishnu Thakur is paraphrasing this prayer to the Lord, this offered during Pulsavana. Okay, the last sloka for today. Yatatvam kripaya buddhya tejasa mahimahujasa jushtaisha gunai sarvais tatosi bhagavam prabhu. O my Lord, because you are endowed with the causeless mercy, all opulences, all prowess and all glories, strength and transcendental qualities, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of everyone. In this verse, Tatosi Bhagavan Prabhu means, therefore, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of everyone. Supreme Personality of Godhead is endowed with all six opulences in full, and moreover, he is extremely kind to his devotee. Although he is full in himself, he nonetheless wants all living entities to surrender unto him so that they may engage in his service. Thus he becomes satisfied. Although he is full in himself, he nonetheless becomes pleased when his devotee offers him patram pushpam phalam poem, a leaf, flower, fruit, or water in devotion. Sometimes the Lord, as the child of Mother Yashoda, requests his devotee for some food as if he were very hungry. Sometimes he tells his devotee in a dream that his temple and his garden are now very old and he cannot enjoy them very nicely. Thus he requests the devotee to repair them. Sometimes he is buried in the earth, and if unable to come out of himself, he requests his devotee to rescue him. So this is the Madhavendra Puri story, who unearthed Gopal, which is now in Natadvar, as Nataji. Sometimes he requests his devotee to preach his glories all over the world, although he alone is quite competent to perform the task. Now Prabhupada refers to himself. He's the one who preached the glories all over the world. Even though the Supreme Personality of Godhead is endowed with all possessions and is self-sufficient, he depends on his devotees. Therefore, the relationship of the Lord with his devotees is extremely confidential. Only the devotee can perceive how the Lord, although full in himself, depends on his devotee for some particular work. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord tells Arjuna, Nimitta matram bhava savya sachin. O Arjuna, merely be an instrument in the fight. Lord Krishna had the competence to win the battle of Kurukshetra, but nonetheless he induced his devotee Arjuna to fight and become cause of victory. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was quite competent enough to spread his name and mission all over the world, but still he depended upon his devotee to do this work. Again, Prabhupada referring to himself. So we think, oh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he could preach only in India. He could not, spread it out of India. At that time, there were no airplanes and travel was very limited. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He could have done whatever he wanted. But he wanted, his devotee to do this work for him. He wanted Prabhupada to do the work. And previous acharyas also. Considering all these points, the most important aspect of the Supreme Lord's self-sufficiency is that he depends on his devotees. This called his causeless mercy. Devotee who has perceived this causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by realization can understand the master and the servant. Okay, just let us read the last purport of Vishwanath Thakur. By your mercy, everything happens. Just as you endow with the mercy, you are the Lord because of being endowed with other powers. The meaning is this: you are served, Jushta, by your Kripa Shakti. You wait for the tulsi leaf offered by the devotee. Thus, you are not independent. You ask the devotee, please give me something to eat because I'm hungry today. Thus, you are not full in your desires. You say to the devotee in his dream, my house and garden are worn out. Where will I play? Thus, you are without wealth. Though you have all powers of yoga, bound by the ropes of prema, of the devotee, you cannot go anywhere. Thus, you do not have all siddhis. By your power, as Ma Lakshmi, Bhutya, by your power of complete independence, Tejasa, by your power of great wealth, Mahimna, by your strength, Ojasa, and all other qualities such as having all your statements come true, you remain independent and full in your own desires in this world. You are alone as the Supreme Lord, the Master worthy of worship. So Lord is capable of doing everything he wants to do alone without anybody's help, but still he depends on his devotees out of love, and he wants his devotees to do things for him because it's a sweet relationship of exchange of love between the Lord and devotees. So I will stop here today. If you have any final comments or questions, otherwise we will stop.
Prabhu,
Yes, Mataji.
I have one question. Yeah, so the last chapter, deity the every instructions told by her husband. So I find that these instructions are very difficult to carry out nowadays.
Yeah, this is difficult, Vrata. And yeah, you don't need really to do this. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us more simple, easier Vrata of chanting the Maha Mantra, for which there are no strict rules and regulations, apart from the rule to chant always. Kirtaniya Sadahari. So if you can always chant the Maha Mantra, all other processes of bhakti will be automatically accomplished. All other vratas will be accomplished just by the simple process of chanting the 16 words Maha Mantra, if not always as much as possible. So we should not limit ourselves to our 16 rounds or whatever number of rounds we are chanting. We should understand that this is just the minimum, the just minimum, that we should not go below it. But if there is any opportunity, any chance, any free time, we should chant more. And by doing this, all other vratas like this punsavana and everything else will be automatically fulfilled, because this is the Yuga Dharma and the highest process. So everything else will be included. And on the other side, the other limbs of bhakti, like Shravanam or Smaranam or Archanam or Padasevanam, they can also be performed, but they all should be accompanied by Nama Sankirtana, by chanting the holy name, by Nama Kirtana or Nama Sankirtana. Because in this age of Kali, if you perform these other processes, like Smarana or Archana, without chanting the holy name, they will not give the desired result. Although they are powerful, but in this age of Kali, they must be accompanied by the chanting of the holy name. On the other side, if you just perform Nama Sankirtana, it's enough. If you can perform it without offenses and perform it always, it's understood that you have done all purificatory processes and vratas and rites, and all other limbs of bhakti also will be included in it. So it's the most complete process, chanting the holy names of the Lord. So yeah, we don't need to do this punsavana, but it's good to know Diti was able, and of course she was, the daughter of of Prajapati Daksha, so she was very qualified lady, but we cannot compare to her. So our ability to do this complicated vratas might be limited. So that's why we have our simple vrata of the chanting the holy name and honoring prasadam, chanting and honoring prasadam, and associating with the devotees. Is it okay, Mataji?
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll stop here. Thank you all very much. Vancha kalpatrubhasya kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanemi vaishnavim namo namaha. See you next Monday.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Is the next class the last class, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu Prabhu.
Is the next class the last class? Or
Yeah, the
there's
next one is the last. Yeah, that's the last. We are finishing 6th canto next Monday.
Oh,
Just in time.
okay.
Alex.
Hare Krishna.